So for this webinar, you're going to be learning the difference between self-love and self-care. You're going to learn how to prioritize your creative time. We're going to identify the top 10 struggles among creatives, how to apply highly effective strategies for starting and completing your creative project. Okay, so let's get started. And so I've worked with writers and musicians, artists, celebrities, influencers, and high-profile clients in their creative process. And I'll talk about a few of my clients later in the webinar. So let's talk about the difference between self-love and self-care. Do either of you know the difference? Well, before looking at on the screen.
I thought they were practically the same.
Yeah. I did too, and still I started figuring out there must be a difference, right? So self-love is the appreciation, right, of ourselves and acceptance of our own worth. Okay, so how we value ourselves, how we view ourselves is the self-love. Self-care is the taking action and nurturing through physical, mental, spiritual, or well-being. Okay, so self-care is the action part, and self-love is the nurturing, like just the being. Okay, so this is my favorite quote: fall in love with yourself all over again and again and again and again, right? Because it's a continuous thing. It's not just a one time we're gonna self-love, love ourselves one time and then that's it, right? It's a continuous sense of being, right? State of being. So when we get down on ourselves, the way we self-love is we self-care, right? So that's why they go together. And that's why I say fall in love with yourself, because we want to fall in love with ourselves every single day, right? Every single moment, every single second. So self-care is the key to women reclaiming their creativity. So my focus right now is on women. We need it the most right now, right? This is one way of self-caring is taking back our power of creativity to create, right? We're meant to create. We were born to create here. And how do you currently prioritize your creative time? Does anyone want to share? Either of you want to share how you prioritize your creative time, or do you prioritize your creative time at all?
Yeah, I try to. I've kind of like struggled with it before, but now I'm much more aware, and I try to squeeze in a bit of something or the other throughout the day. If it's cooking or if it's just doodling something, but some days it's not possible. But I try to do something that is creative in some way or the other, even if it's just writing something down.
Good. So what I did was I actually the last few months I've been researching women and creativity. So because what I noticed is that there's a lot of what they call imposter syndrome. A lot of women are struggling with their creativity, even producing their art, right? Their medium. So what I did was I reached out to 10 women who identify as creatives. And this is what I came up with based on about 10, 15 questions. They all answered. These are the top 10 how they answered. So number one is prioritizing self. That's like the number one struggle we all have, right? Is finding time to prioritize creativity. Number two is procrastination of projects. So we'll have a project, creative project, and we'll just kind of leave it behind because then we put other people first, right? We don't put ourselves first. And that's what a lot of the prioritizing self is, that we allow, as women, we want to please and we want to serve others, and we kind of fall behind on that list. Number 3 is a sense of community. So the women were saying that, being a creative, it's good to be alone, right? Because we need that alone time. We need that time of solitude to reflect and have the ideas flow through us so we can produce our work. But then there was a sense of isolation, right? There's not much community. Everyone's just kind of doing their own thing, and it'd be nice to have some sort of community to share struggles or share wins, share art, right? To build like a network. And number 4 was confidence to create. Some of the women were feeling that even if they do produce, it's hard for them to share with others, or maybe they don't even start to even create anything because then they'll feel bad. Like, what if so-and-so doesn't like it, or, so they start kind of having that low confidence. Number 5 is retreat, restore, and reset. Some of them, or a few of them, actually said that it would be nice to go to like writing retreats or just any type of artist retreat. So then they could relax, like do yoga, just kind of time for themselves to reflect and unwind from all the chaos, in the world. Number 6 is focus time to act and produce. This was, they had a hard time focusing, even when they were doing their creative project. They would have interruptions or distractions, within a home or wherever they're at, so it's hard for them to focus on their creativity because they're being pulled and not being respected for their creative time, right? Number 7 is imposter syndrome, which we all know what that is. We don't, because we say that we are writers or artists, bakers, photographers, that, when we're in we're in a group with other people, we feel that that we don't belong, right? Because someone's going to find out that we are really not those things, which we are. So that's why that's called imposter syndrome. A lot of creatives have that. Number 7 is fear of failure and rejection. So once you have that, that piece of creative work project, it's hard to share. And that's what we're here, right? We're here to create and to share with others, so then we can shine our light, right? And inspire others to also create. Number 9 is feeling disconnected, which kind of goes along with the community. There's a sense of disconnection between others and yourself. And then number 10, a few of them said mind shift. So they wanted, like, they were struggling with shifting their mind and actually being a creative and creating. So now we're going to talk about the 3 transformative ways to self-care. Does anyone have any questions before I keep going? No? Okay. So number 1 is empower your boundaries, okay? As women, we have a hard time with boundaries. And I say, you know what? You're the CEO of your life. You make the decision, okay? You're going to create the life you desire. That's empowering. It's what I've been learning about boundaries is that, and we'll talk about that in the next slide. Boundaries, here's some questions to ask yourselves, okay? And I say boundaries, you can't leave home without them, okay? We can't. I mean, the boundaries are everywhere, right? We need to place those boundaries wherever we go, even at home, right? So let's go some questions here. Are you saying yes, but you really mean no? Did you procrastinate on that creative project because something else came up? Did you burn out on life's responsibilities? Did you put others first? Did you lose that vision from an idea? And were you frustrated that no one seems to respect your creative time? So these are all the questions. If you answered, if you didn't apply boundaries to all these questions, then we need to kind of figure out what are your boundaries, right? And then women who take on more tasks that are not theirs will end up experiencing burnout. Okay. So I know I'm number one, and like I used to have a lot of burnout because I used to take on, I was so giving, right? I give, and there comes a time where we have to put those boundaries for ourselves, right? So this book called Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend, and I highly recommend it if you are struggling with boundaries. This book is really insightful. It has a lot of strategies. He defines boundaries as any confusion of responsibility and ownership in our lives is a problem with boundaries. So setting boundaries. So with setting boundaries, you're going to be consistent. Okay. Because let's say one day you say, you know what, that doesn't feel comfortable for me. I don't like that schedule, whatever it might be, right? And then the next week you allow it to kind of slide, right? So you want to be consistent on your boundaries to respect yourself, and then for others to respect your own boundaries, right? One affirmation I suggest is just saying, I respect my own boundaries, right? Every day we want to kind of mind shift, right? And number 2, release your creative blocks. How many of us struggle with creative blocks? Yeah. That's a hard one, right? I want to share one of my, I've worked with different environments. I've worked with like low income clients who were struggling with alcohol, depression, anxiety. And I've also worked with celebrities in a high-end luxury like rehab center, right? And the one thing they had in common, they all had very similar symptoms, but the only thing they had in common was not their income, right? It was their lack of creativity. So what I've noticed is that when you have a lack of creativity, no matter how much money you have or not, if you don't add creativity in your life, you're going to fall into depression, anxiety, because you're not actually creating. When we don't create, that's when we fall into, the heaviness of life, right? So we want to keep creating. Yeah, I wanted to share this client. I had a client who was like a Hollywood client. He's still alive. He's like this famous rock and roll legend musician. And before we start working, he had come in he was severely depressed, and he was detoxing from, drugs and alcohol at this luxury rehab center. Afterwards, after he started working with me, he was inspired to create again. He actually wrote songs again. And then now he's actually touring, and he created a charitable organization for children and living his best life at age 60. So I'm really proud of him. I can't say his name because it's still like the client, confidentiality. So, and then my second client was actually at an outpatient psychiatric clinic for low-income individuals. This is the information I was giving before. So before he started working with me, he had come in he was struggling with depression and burnout, and then she realized that she had forgotten her life purpose, right? And then after, she began painting again, and her creativity overflowed, even in other areas of her life. And she even healed the relationship, the strained relationship with her mother. So that's the importance of creativity. That's why I'm so passionate about this, because it's not just about painting, it's about, or, you know, doing your art. It really overflows into other areas of your life, right? Not just your creative time. So that's why it's so important to self-care. And number 3 is expand with a trusted accountability partner. So before I do that, let's does anyone have questions on what I just, the 2 that we talked about, the boundaries and the
Not yet.
not yet? Okay. All right. So let's go to the next one, or the last one, is expand with a trusted accountability partner. So I want to share why the accountability partners are so important. I think what I talked about earlier was, as creatives, we feel really isolated, right? And when we have accountability partners, you know, accountabilities are people who, they check in with you, right? You share your goal with them. Like, I really want to create this song, or I really want to create this series of photography, you know, shots, or I want to finish this novel. I just can't get myself to do that. And so what accountability partners do is kind of, they're people who help you achieve your goal, right? I think because if we want to finish that book, right, it's just to ourselves, right? But when someone else knows that what your goal is, they're going to encourage you, right? And you have more accountability with yourself because someone knows that you're going to do it, right? It's a way for each other to check in on your progress. They're going to be your cheerleader, right? I mean, who hasn't had a person who really believed in them, and that made a huge difference, right? In actually feeling great about even the process and even finishing or achieving it. Accountability partners listen compassionately when you hit roadblocks. You know, like having that good friend or having that good family member that will just listen to you and then encourage you again, like, hey, try again, you know, just because you didn't finish it this time, you can do it, right? And then at the end, when you actually did finish your creative project, they celebrate you, right? They help you, they share those wins with you, right? Okay. Let's see what we have next. Who has any questions? I want to see if any of you have questions so far.
One thing I wonder is, as a person who lives with mental health, several mental health conditions, and also chronic illness, one of my biggest struggles is just fatigue, and the will is there, but sometimes the motivation or just the energy is not there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, as I was coming up, as I was listening to you and I was just making my notes, I think I don't get creative blocks as much as I have a ton of ideas and I know what I want to do. So it's not that I'm creatively blocked. It's more so I just have all these other just hindrances in my life that are causing most of my problems. It's not really a question. That's more, I think I might just be processing out loud, but that's what came up for me as I was hearing you talk.
Mm-hmm. That's great insight, Danielle. The thing that I have seen with people that have physical symptoms is it might not be a creative block, but it's an emotional block. So it's that's what I've noticed with clients and people that I know that are, and I'm surrounded by creatives, right? It's an emotional block. Have you ever considered that as something that might be kind of contributing to your pain or physical struggles?
My not being able to express my creativity, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, because it kind of goes hand in hand. Like, in order to prevent or to kind of ease those physical symptoms, you must create.
Right.
And then what you're saying, what I heard you say is that you have a hard time creating because of these physical symptoms.
It's like a weird vicious cycle because I know writing makes me feel better, but I feel like sometimes I need to feel better so I can write.
Right.
And so I'm in that weird cycle.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you get yourself out of that cycle, or do you?
I'm working on it.
Okay. Well, I just want to know, like, what do you do right now that helps you?
Well, most recently I started a writing co-working group, which my first one starts tomorrow. And so I created, because I'm looking for that accountability, because I know I've created it, I've promoted it, so I have to show up, and I'm the person who's hosting them. And so I am working on the accountability part for sure.
Okay, cool.
And I'm here right now today.
Yeah, you're here.
I'm trying. Yeah.
Yeah. It is a vicious cycle. What I would suggest is just be gentle with yourself and start small.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Does that help?
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Tatini, do you want to share anything, or do you have any questions?
Yeah. How do you go about encouraging writers who have creative blocks or any other creatives? Like, for me, when before, like, even I struggled with my mental illness a lot, and now I'm in the process of recovering, reparenting, and everything. So I have come out of that whole thing, but now I feel that I'm completely blank and I have nothing to express. Like, I go to express and I'm just blank.
Yeah.
Before, it was me being terrified of of the blank canvas, or having to start something. But now I have the urge to do it, but I don't know what I want to do or how I would go about it. And I know that if I just start it, something will work out. But then I kind of feel sad that I feel that I've lost something in the process of healing, if you know what I mean. So I was just wondering how you help, since you work with so many different profile clients, that how you help them get back to their roots and get back to, because a lot of healing happens when you work on your childhood and all these things, that all the trauma that you accumulated, and you work through it, and you don't have that reference anymore, or you don't have that those emotions packed up to let out. So how do you help someone with that, or what would you suggest?
So you're not expressing, what I'm hearing is you're not expressing what your old self was, right? So now you are trying to figure out how to express your new self, which you're evolving into. You not sure who you are, right? You're learning about yourself, right? Like, you've almost had a rebirth a little bit, right? I think we're like as a community, or worldwide, we're shifting into a new self, right? A new world. And so that's a beautiful thing, because you can create whoever you want to be right now. So maybe for you, I would suggest, and you want to do painting, you said?
Yeah, I mean, painting or photography or anything that comes along. Because now I'm teaching as a part-time instructor, but I want to go ahead and do my master's sometime soon. So I have to start working on my portfolio. And I mean, I can't just wait for this part-time job to go on forever. And I want to like create my own profile and, start showing up for myself in the world as an artist or a creative.
Right.
So to get myself there, I need to do all these things. I have to build something to reach somewhere.
Okay. I would suggest creating the new version of yourself in whatever medium you feel, whatever is calling you to use, right? And it could actually also be baking, right?
Yeah.
You can create a new recipe. So whatever medium you decide to do, it's the new you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get to decide. Nobody tells you who that person's going to be or what it's going to look like, who she's going to, be.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have that power now.
Yeah.
So you're taking back your power. Okay. And that's how you reclaim your creativity, because you're going to be like, you know what, this is me. This is my new self. And I'm going to create that new self. Right. Because I think as babies, right, we all come in brand new, and then the world starts putting messages into our minds, and society tells us who we're supposed to be. But now you get to create that. You tell the world now, right?
Yeah.
Who you are. That's a beautiful thing. Yay.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Stephanie, do you have any questions? I know you're working. Do you want to share anything?
No, this is all, I'm just kind of taking it in. It's really good information. I'm just trying to create the space to be more creative. I have a lot of stuff in my head, and just, of course, being a single parent, but he is older, but just, and then my regular work job. So for me, I appreciate all the information you gave about kind of the barriers to creativity. I identify with a lot of those, but I'm going to be working on creating more space for that in my life. And I actually, what you said about the lack of creativity will cause you to fall into depression and anxiety. I feel that so much. Like I didn't realize that was the case. So
yeah.
And
they don't tell us this, right? I've had to figure this out on my own. I've figured out only because I worked for 20 years with clients that came in with the same, it was like the similar situation. So, this is groundbreaking news.
Yeah, definitely.
Dealing with right now. That's why I'm so passionate about it, because I want people to be happy, right? I want people to be happy and live out their best selves.